It is 1 p.m. in Athens. It's 3 a.m. in Los Angeles. I'm Monita, Rajpal. This is World One, live from London. First, we begin in Athens, where this was the scene outside the Greek parliament. Inside Parliament, a political bloodbath as dozens of politicians are sent packing for refusing to back a new round of austerity measures. But in the midst of the chaos, the deal went through. More than 100,000 people took to the streets of Athens to protest against the drastic cuts. In the violence that followed, at least 25 protesters and 40 police were injured. Sir Lucas Papademos has called for calm, saying violence will not be tolerated. Well, we want to go to CNN senior international correspondent Matthew Chance, who joins us now from Athens. And Matthew, of course, these cuts went through, but what we're seeing on the streets is, I guess, people extremely frustrated that the government is forcing them to accept these very stark austerity measures.
They're very frustrated, very angry as well, Monita. We saw tens of thousands of people, more than 100,000 by some estimates.
Right, Matthew, thank you. Matthew Chance there in Athens. We want to see what newspapers around the world are saying about this. The headline in the International Herald Tribune: riots in Athens as lawmakers debate austerity. It goes on to say demonstrators expressed anger at the politicians, condemning them to more austerity, outrage at foreign pressure for more painful measures, and anxiety about what the future holds. In Britain, The Guardian's headline: as Greece stares into the abyss, Europe must choose. It's a comment piece that says, exhausted by interminable cliffhangers and last chances, many Greeks have turned off the terrorist soap opera of the TV news and are trying as best they can to get on with their lives. And in Greece, the Katimerini English paper has this headline: deal too tough to help growth. It says it is more difficult for any economic adjustment program to succeed when it loses the support of a large portion of the public in a country such as Greece. Details are starting to emerge about the death of singer Whitney Huston. Huston's body was found in her hotel bathtub Saturday afternoon. The Los Angeles coroner's office says the cause of death isn't known, but there was no sign of trauma and no suspicion of foul. We want to get more now from Los Angeles. David Mattingly is at the coroner's office. He joins us now live. David, so we understand it could take weeks before toxicology results are released, but what do we know about potentially what was found inside her hotel room and what the conditions were at the time of her death?
At the time of her death, she was in her hotel room.
David Mattingly there outside the LA County coroner's office there in the U.S. Well, the U.S. music industry paid its respects to Whitney Huston on Sunday, with much of the Grammy Awards show dedicated as a tribute to the star. Well, British singer Adele was the big winner at Sunday's Grammys, bagging all 6 of the awards she was nominated for. She used her acceptance speech for Best Pop Solo to thank the doctors who've been treating her for recent health problems.
Seeing as it's a vocal performance, I need to thank my doctors, I suppose, who brought my voice back. So Stephen's
You're watching World One live from London. Some news just coming into CNN from the Netherlands this hour. Reuters is reporting that military police in Amsterdam say parts of the city's Schiphol airport have been evacuated after a bomb threat. Of course, CNN is trying to confirm that information, get more information, and we'll bring that to you as we get it. Russia says any UN peacekeeping force for Syria must be conditional on a ceasefire being in place first. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov made the comments just a short while ago. On Sunday, the Arab League announced it was scrapping its observer mission and called for a joint UN. Activists say more than 680 people were killed last week as government forces rained shells and mortars down on the city of Homs. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh is following developments. He joins us now from the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Nick.
We are hearing of one development to this morning in Homs, speaking to an activist
Nick,
there.
Thank you. Nick Payton-Walsh there in Beirut. Pakistan's Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani has appeared before the Supreme Court in Islamabad, pleading not guilty to a charge of contempt of court. The confrontation between the court and the government has been building for more than 2 years. Thank you. This is World One, live from London. Trapped under 10 meters of snow, a dramatic rescue takes place. Has been pulled alive from a house buried deep in snow after an avalanche hit the remote village of Restelnica in southern Kosovo. See if there's any chance of change in the weather for Europe. Meteorologist Mari Ramos is at the World Weather Center with the details. Mari.
Oh, those little changes are going to mean a lot, Monita, across parts of Europe. Now, we're starting to see the temperatures moderate somewhat. It's still going to be cold.
You're watching World One live from London. General Assembly is expected to consider a new draft resolution on Syria, this one from Saudi Arabia. But many people watching the crisis unfold say there's been enough talk and not enough action. Despite that, as Ben Wiedemann reports, at least the talk is getting tougher.
Artillery and mortar rounds rained down on...
And just adding on to Ben's report, we've been hearing a lot from world leaders on what to do about Syria, but now we want to bring you a sense of the sheer desperation that so many civilians there are feeling inside the embattled city of Homs. Russia says any UN peacekeeping force for Syria must be conditional on a ceasefire being in place first. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov made those comments just a short while ago. A formal condemnation of Syria's crackdown on dissent was considered by the UN Security Council. Following the story, he joins us now from CNN Moscow. And Phil, so the Russians are saying now that they will consider an joint Arab League UN mission if there's a ceasefire in place. Is that as far as that they're willing to go?
Well, Monita, all the things that they've rejected in the past, the red lines from Russia's point of view, they still remain.
Phil, thank you. Phil Black there in Moscow. It could be months before we know more about how the singer Whitney Huston died. She was found dead in her hotel bathtub on Saturday. The Los Angeles coroner's office says there was no sign of trauma and no suspicion of foul play. It could take up to 8 weeks before results of toxicology tests are known. Huston attracted more attention for her personal life than her professional achievements. She admitted having a drug problem and a difficult relationship with her ex-husband Bobby Brown, but recently she was working on turning her image around with an appearance in Sparkle, a movie loosely based on the singing group The Supremes. Anthony DeCurtis is a contributing editor for Rolling Stone magazine, and he joins us now live from CNN New York. Anthony, thank you very much for being with us. Let's start talking about the kind of impact that Whitney Huston had on the careers of some of the newer singers that we're seeing now. Jennifer Hudson, to mention just one. What kind of impact do you think that Whitney Huston had on pop music?
Oh, Whitney Houston's impact on popular music was complete. Pretty much every singer...
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that. Anthony DeCurtis there, contributing editor of Rolling Stone magazine. This is World One, live from London. Made in Africa, the continent has a new football champion, and we're going to get the very latest on that from our Pedro Pinto is here to talk about that exciting development and much more.
Yeah, thanks for stretching that an extra 10 seconds so I could put my microphone on.
You know what? It's always, we have to take care of you. Hold your hand.
Thank you very much. Let me tell you about this story, though, because it's such a great story. Against all odds, Zambia beat the Ivory Coast in the final of the African Cup of Nations of that high-profile duel that everyone was talking about on Sunday.
Excellent. A lot of people also talking about movies on Sunday.
They were.
As well as music. You've film buff?
Yeah, I watched the BAFTAs. I know that's what you're getting to. Sorry if I stole your thunder.
Did you see any of the films?
I did see a lot of the films that were up for nominations.
One of my favorites was definitely Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Couldn't understand it for a lot of it, but it was good.
It took a while to get going, though.
Yeah. It was really well done.
Quite a complex.
It takes a lot of concentration.
Script. Yes.
Which is not what I'm usually good at when it's watching a film. But Pedro, thank you very much for that. You are watching World One live from London. We are going to be talking about the silent film from France that is causing quite a bit of a stir in Britain. Talk a bit about the movies last night. The artist created quite a bang at the British Film Industry Awards on Sunday. The silent film won 7 BAFTA awards over the weekend. And if your money was on Meryl Streep, don't worry, she took the gong for Best Actress for her part in The Iron Lady. Becky Anderson was at London's Royal Opera House for the big night.
The 65th BAFTA Awards boasted a red carpet full of star power.
Adding to what Becky was saying, the Oscars are just 2 weeks away, but does recognition at the BAFTAs ensure victory at the Academy Awards? Mark Kermode is a film critic and a BAFTA member. He joins us now. Mark, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
Does that pave the way, do you reckon?
I think that the BAFTAs are a very important part of the road to the Oscars, but they are different. I mean, for a start, the British Academy have a very different sensibility.
Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate that. My highlight of the night was Martin Scorsese's speech. Elegant man, elegance personified.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Mark, thank you so much. You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. We thank you for joining us. We'll update you the news headlines at the top of the hour.